Compass Mining is your trusted partner in Bitcoin mining. Whether you're investing in one machine or thousands, our customizable solutions are tailored to meet your needs. We are your experts in Bitcoin mining, offering a platform where individuals and businesses can purchase hardware, host machines, and access a range of ancillary Bitcoin mining services. We also specialize in large-scale site development and data center operations. Discover more at compassmining.io and see how we can power your success today. Hey miners, welcome back to the channel McNallie Money, the official home of power mining analysis. Thursday morning, December 5th, a historic day for the world as Bitcoin has now officially crossed $100,000 US for the first time ever in history. This is a major milestone. We've been talking about this psychological wall or barrier for weeks on the channel, and this now solidifies Bitcoin is here to stay as a world currency, just starting to really take its roots on the global stage. We've got so much to talk about. This was an event that was heard around the world, and that's what we're going to be talking about in today's podcast. Before we get into it, smash the like button, you guys. Do it for the $100,000 Bitcoin. Do it for power mining. Feel free to subscribe to the channel and let us know in the comment section below how you feel about this huge milestone, what you're doing in response to this price action in terms of your trades, and your outlook for the final few months of the year as to where you think Bitcoin will eventually end up. Thanks so much for watching and enjoy the podcast. Okay, guys, so that's right. The podcast we have been waiting for all year. Bitcoin has officially crossed $100,000 US, Anthony. This is something we've been talking about on the channel for weeks and weeks now. We put out a video, even with the $100,000 in the thumbnail title, talking about this sell wall, all of these sell orders that were accumulating around 100,000. Lo and behold, late last night, Bitcoin did the inevitable. It broke through this $100,000 sell wall. I was texting you like crazy, Anthony. Only 10 hours after yesterday's podcast, I even put out a tweet saying, could this be the day? And lo and behold, it was. Bitcoin breaking through that milestone in a huge fashion.
Yeah, yesterday I had a sense of imminency about it, even though when we were doing the podcast, it was in that 96,000 range. But after the podcast, I noticed the sort of like it started to move towards 99,000. Before I went to bed, it was like 98, just under 99,000. So a lot of people were then saying, you know, is it going to get the 100,000 today? And obviously, when I woke up, I'm 7 hours ahead of you, Bryce. So I woke up this morning to your text and to the Bitcoin price, well over 103,000. So really great to see that and to see them six figures.
It most certainly is. Now, we're not the only ones that were predicting this, Anthony. Even our good friend Warren Buffett, the famous quote, "The stock market, or replace that now with Bitcoin, is a device for transferring money from the impatient to the patient." Now, Mike Alfred also predicted a large run in Bitcoin, almost hitting this to the month here. So I'll let you talk about that one, and then we can talk about some of the other reactions really heard around the world last night.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Mike Alfred's, you know, he's a non-executive director of IREN, but he does a lot on social media. He's in the, you know, the Bitcoin space. Likes to talk about mining companies as well, because obviously he's part of a mining company. He's quite happy to talk through that there. He put his predictions on in terms of Bitcoin price back at the beginning of November. And you know, he quoted 104,500 by December, and lo and behold, we're in $1,000 of that this morning. So kudos to him for saying that. He's been fairly accurate this year in terms of how the mining stocks would react. You know, basically, you know, hold the line. You know, it was still early, and the bull cycle's got, you know, majority of 2025 to go through. So he's picked up really well. And he's now saying, you know, or he said at the beginning of January, then 125,000 is achievable in January. And, you know, who can say that's not going to happen after we've seen the run since the 1st of November? It's been relentless. $70,000 on the 1st of November. and we're already over 100,000. So, 125,000. I'd probably be signing with Mike on that one.
Most definitely. Now, don't get me started on the mining stocks. We're going to come on to those in a second. But before we do, maybe on the other end of the influencer spectrum, we have recovered or historical tweet here, Anthony, from Shooter 7 Chains McGavin responding to Peter Schiff. Now, this is back in 2019, you guys, when Peter Schiff came out and said, keep dreaming. Bitcoin is never going to hit $100,000. Now, I'm sure Peter is regretting those words. I've seen literally hundreds of people commenting on this post. Shooter 7 Chains McGavin goes on to say, blanket, Peter, 100K by 2024. If this isn't a time traveler or insight 5 years ago, Anthony, that's quite impressive. So we obviously joke there, but so many people have been anticipating this milestone.
Yeah, and Peter Schiff's come out today as it's reached 100,000, said it only got there with the help of the government. So I'm not quite sure that's the whole picture there, Peter. I mean, it's been steadily rising all through. It was 42,500 before any politician started mentioning the start of this year, and reached, well over 70,000 in March. So Bitcoin does what Bitcoin does there. It doesn't matter if there is anything going on around the world. We've got 2 world wars at the moment going on in place. We've got, inflation issues again, in countries around the world. There's lots of macroeconomic things that Bitcoin has to battle with, and nothing keeps in its stride there. We're just we're still early now at the adoption phase now. I mean, I've related this to the sort of like the iPhone. We're probably heading towards iPhone 4 or 5 or something like that. We're iPhone 3 maybe a year ago, but we still got a long way to get to iPhone 16.
A lot of people are comparing it to the internet adoption as well. And apparently we're at the 1999 stage in terms of people around the world that are involved in Bitcoin. Now, Peter may be blaming the government for Bitcoin's historic rise here. I think it's a little more based on the institutions and ETF involvement. So we've actually got a quote here from Bitcoin Archive talking about BlackRock's Bitcoin ETF now surpassing $50 billion in assets. Absolutely monstrous amount of inflows. This is the fastest growing ETF to reach this milestone ever. It happened in 228 days. Prior to that, the second place ETF took 1,329 days to get to 50 billion. This is why Bitcoin's moving and crossing $100,000, in my opinion, Peter.
Absolutely. We've mentioned this all throughout the year. These ETFs, since they were approved in January, have just been eating up Bitcoin at multiples of 20 times the production rate on some days. And that's just not sustainable, because, there's only 450 Bitcoin being produced. We saw last week how MicroStrategy and the ETFs between them had bought, over 105,000 Bitcoin in a week. 30 weeks to produce what they purchased in 1 week. That just can't keep going. And now we've got the likes of MicroStrategy with literally 2% of the whole of the Bitcoin that's ever going to be produced. And these ETFs are equally holding, probably 3% of all the Bitcoin that's ever been produced. That's 5% of everything held by 2 entities there. So it's, it's a big part of a piece of the cake to have.
You're most certainly right. And if you factor in the Satoshi wallet, which apparently has 1 million Bitcoin on, and the fact that 2 to 3 million Bitcoin are now lost or unrecoverable, that pie you talk about, Anthony, is quickly shrinking. Now, pile on top of that some of the comments we're starting to get from world leaders. So just yesterday, Jerome Powell, Bitcoin is like gold, only it's digital. Vladimir Putin, who can ban Bitcoin? Nobody. Donald Trump, never sell your Bitcoin. You guys, as you just alluded to, Anthony, there are world wars going on, and these political leaders, although they're literally fighting across the world, are agreeing on the fact that this digital currency, Bitcoin, is here to stay.
Compass Mining makes Bitcoin mining accessible to everyone. Start mining in as little as 48 hours with our turnkey hardware, online and mining directly to your Bitcoin wallet within 2 business days. Find out more at compassmining.io and get started now.
Yeah, absolutely. We've seen China come back into the market. We've seen Russia. They're mining in Russia now, and Russia are buying Bitcoin. It's being used to trade as well. So, it's just endless at the moment. All this positivity has helped to get Bitcoin where it is today.
It certainly has. Now, looking forward, next milestones or catalysts on the horizon, Anthony. January is when obviously Trump comes into office. The inauguration, January 20th. It's expected they're going to start the Bitcoin reserve immediately. We're also hearing other countries around the world are trying to front run that reserve. So Dennis Porter has been on the channel multiple times. He's saying there's now in excess of 10, 11 individual states that are looking to create this strategic Bitcoin reserve. We also heard from Asher and Hut 8 that they've now adopted that strategic Bitcoin reserve language on their balance sheet. So in terms of upcoming events here, what can we expect on the horizon as these countries and nation states begin to buy Bitcoin?
Again, it goes back to simple economics, supply and demand. When there's only a small amount of supply being produced each day, and the demand is as it is now, and it's only going to get greater. If the US come out and approve that bill to make Bitcoin the strategic reserve, how many other countries will have to adopt that as well? We know that there are so many countries at the moment that use the dollar as parity for their currency as well. So I'll give you an example of that. The UAE, which is probably crypto capital of the world in terms of, how many people they're ahead of every country in terms of adoption over there. The amount of people in the Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency space that reside in Dubai would proportionately would be massively bigger than the US, the Europe, or anywhere else around the world. If the US takes it, the UAE currency is pegged to the US dollar. So you'd have to think that they want to follow suit and also create a strategic reserve of Bitcoin there. And one thing about the United Arab Emirates is they've got the money to do it. So, that's just one example. There's going to be umpteen examples out there of a similar way. And, El Salvador, I think I saw a tweet this morning from the president of El Salvador looking at their Bitcoin wallets and how that's increased from the time that the country purchased Bitcoin to prop up their currency as well. Like, it's just amazing. He's been a great advocate for Bitcoin all the way through. And now you've got the likes of Donald Trump picking up the flag as well and taking it forward. And I'm sure there'll be a lot more other countries coming out, and we'll start seeing the big institutions. They can't stay out of this game forever. December is the time that Michael Saylor said he was going to present to MicroStrategy. Let's see how that works out, because if they start to do it, you'll see a whole host of companies behind them doing it. It might just be the norm after that they have to adopt. And if they do, who they're going to buy it from? They're going to have to pay for it, and the price will rise. And weak hands might sell, but we've got strong hands, Bryce, haven't we? So we're not selling ours.
Diamond hands, they call that, Anthony. And you're exactly right. You're exactly right. Michael Saylor actually did do his first presentation already, and they've now come back saying they want a deeper dive second presentation to the Microsoft board. So I definitely think there's something going on there.
And while we're still talking about Michael Saylor, he was on a news channel this week when asked about what he'd do with his personal Bitcoin. He said when he passes away, he's going to delete the keys and to make it great for everybody else, and that's part of the Bitcoin. So it supports the Bitcoin community that way. So that's an interesting comment to come out there. I mean, I'd certainly be hoping members of his family would appreciate some of the Bitcoin, but he says no, he's going to delete the keys. And keep the integrity of the Bitcoin community going that way. So he's obviously got a lot more than the likes of me and you in his wallet at the moment.
I'm pretty sure he has 17,000 Bitcoin personally, and I did see that tweet. I understand where he's coming from in terms of supply and demand, but it also kind of reduces the ecosystem for Bitcoin. So I don't know how I feel about that one. Another thing I don't know how I feel about is the Bitcoin miners here, Anthony. And I'm sure we're going to get a flurry of comments. The typical, how is Bitcoin up? Miners are down. Miners are at the same price they were when Bitcoin was at 60, all the rest. I could not be less worried about the Bitcoin miners. You guys do not worry about the stock price. These companies are not dictated by their share price. They're dictated by hash price. And hash price is very correlated to Bitcoin price. The fact of the matter is, as Bitcoin moves up, these companies, all of their infrastructure, all of their equipment, all of their machines, their substations, everything they own becomes more valuable. Whether or not the market picks up on that on day one post $100,000 Bitcoin does not bother me in the least. So I wanted to make that rant, Anthony. Be patient with the miners, you guys. Fundamentally, these companies are getting better by the day, and we look at fundamental analysis on this channel.
And let me add to that, even if we just take the recent companies to announce the results, IREN, if they can achieve in 2025 that Bitcoin cost of $29,000 per coin, and they're mining 500 or 600 a month, and the Bitcoin price is over 100,000, just think of that there, upwards of maybe $75,000 per coin net profit. Multiply that by 500, you're into, nearly $40 million a month of net profit. It just beyond belief. These companies haven't been earning $40 million in a year up to now. So, this price point now, and the fact that these companies have built themselves into a position with the most efficient fleets, are going to really benefit going forward. So yes, there are 30 mining companies out there, but you better make sure you're positioning the right ones that are going to go forward in 2025 through this bull cycle with the profits available to them.
Yeah, you're most definitely right, Anthony. This is the cycle you want to be prepared for and capitalize on. That's exactly why, even leading into the halving, we were talking about expanding fleets, getting access to low-cost power, improving the efficiency, all of which is now coming to fruition as Bitcoin enters this bull run. So with that being said, now that I just said not to worry about the miner prices, let's take a look at the miner prices. I am obviously disappointed here, Anthony. I would have liked to see these move up higher, but at the same time, I'm happy to keep accumulating at these rates as Bitcoin moves up. Again, a mixed bag here this morning. Everything was extremely green, but again, we're continuing to taper off almost in unison at the exact same points here within these charts.
Yeah, it's been a great month or 2 months for the likes of Bitdeer and Hut. We've seen their share prices grow by 130% and more. And we'll talk more about this and some of those other stocks, how they've been moving in the next podcast.
You're certainly right, Anthony, and also a great update on our miner madness as we're seeing some major changes on the leaderboard. So with that being said, you guys, we've got a photo here with Michael Saylor talking about this $100,000 Bitcoin party. We couldn't be more excited. We're looking forward to seeing where Bitcoin ends up for the year, but this day is one to mark down in the history books. As I said yesterday, December 4th may have been the last day, at least in Mountain Time, that I could have bought Bitcoin under $100,000. So time will tell, as we say, Anthony, but a historic day, you guys. Congratulations to everyone who's holding Bitcoin, who's purchased Bitcoin, and looking forward to the next leg up. We'll see you back here this afternoon.